corporate and tax law that works exclusively with nonprofit and tax-exempt organizations, mostly 501c3 public charities and private foundations. I think probably the most critical issue is the content that people are putting onto the social media. So that's a pretty general statement. I think being respectful is of course a really good tip to give, but I think you need to be to include examples to make sure that they haven't engaged in something that might be defamatory to somebody, or that might be violating somebody's copyright or somebody's privacy right. So just being very careful about the content and making sure your policy gives tips and examples and a little bit of context to make sure anybody that's putting on social media for the organization knows how to put and what to put on. Well, I think the first mistake is trying to over-regulate and tell their employees and their volunteers every little thing they can and can't do, and sometimes chill people from participating in social media at all. The other thing that they might do is exactly the opposite. Just give very broad, vague statements as policies, like be respectful and that's it. And that might not really give enough direction to somebody. And if that person does something a little bit stupid, if you will, the organization can get into a lot of trouble unless it can rely on a statement that said, no, they violated our own policies. So those are the quick tips I have. Well, make sure you train everybody who's going to be using your social media vehicles. So if they're going to tweet for you or they're going to do Facebook entries for you, make sure that they know the policies and understand why these policies are in place, not just to provide rules for their use, but to really advance the mission of the organizations. Couple places. So the Alliance for Justice has a great publication on digital advocacy, so that might be one place. Beth Cantor and social media policies, if you Google that term, you'll find 2 or 3 excellent articles with excellent links to resources, including a social media policy development tool, which you can sort of link to and then start to answer a bunch of questions, and it bangs out a social media policy for you. The final resource, especially if you've got employees, is to look at the National Labor Relations Board, and they've got a document on how they interpret labor relations laws and how that might affect employees in social media.